It was 11:45 p.m. when Jack sat in the terminal's security booth. The place was almost empty, with only a few night buses left. Jack liked the night shift, it was usually quiet. But tonight felt different. The air seemed colder, heavier, almost suffocating in the silence. Jack checked the security cameras. Everything looked normal until he reached camera 3, facing the entrance. A figure stood outside the glass doors, too far to see clearly. Jack squinted, trying to focus, but the figure remained still, like a shadow, barely illuminated by a flickering light. He watched for a moment, expecting the figure to move. But it didn't. Probably a late passenger, he thought, trying to dismiss his unease. Minutes later, when he looked again, the figure had vanished. Jack shook his head, blaming fatigue. But the uneasy feeling remained. Midnight passed, and Jack got up to stretch. As he walked past the empty chairs, he heard a faint sound, like a whisper or a distant conversation. He paused, listening closely, but the terminal was silent. He checked his radio, just static. Nothing seemed out of place. Then, a loud thud echoed through the terminal, followed by a dragging noise. Jack's heart pounded. He turned toward the sound and saw a shadow move across the wall near the old, unused platform. He gripped his flashlight and approached slowly. "Hello?" he called out. The platform seemed deserted, but Jack felt eyes on him. He shone his flashlight, revealing only empty benches and trash moving in the wind. Then, the dragging noise came again, closer this time. Jack spun around, and his flashlight flickered, its beam weak and erratic. He caught a glimpse of something darting into a dark corner, moving unnaturally fast. Jack's breath quickened. He turned to run back to his booth, when all the lights flickered and went out, plunging the terminal into darkness. Jack froze, his heart racing, fear gripping him. Jack's radio crackled to life, but only static filled the air. He felt a chill down his spine. The whispers returned, louder, closer. "You shouldn't be here," the voices seemed to say, layered as if spoken by many mouths, echoing through the darkness around him. Panicking, Jack steadied his flashlight, its beam barely cutting through the shadows. Should he run, hide, or confront whatever lurked? Then, he saw it. The figure was back, at the far end of the hall, face pale, eyes glowing a faint, eerie red. The figure's clothes seemed old, like from another era. Jack could see its mouth moving, whispering words he couldn't hear. "You shouldn't be here," echoed louder in his mind, each repetition pounding like a drum, growing more frantic with each second. Jack froze as fear gripped him. The figure moved closer. He backed up, feeling the cold door behind him. He tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. His breaths grew quick and shallow. The figure's grin widened, teeth sharp and many, too many for a human mouth. Jack's flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows. The whispers grew louder, now a chorus of distorted voices. He yanked at the door again, harder. A cold hand brushed his shoulder. He spun around, but there was only empty air, yet the chill remained. Desperate, Jack pounded on the door. "Help," he shouted, but his voice seemed to vanish into the dark. The whispers turned into a low, mocking laughter from all directions. He felt trapped, panic rising, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The lights flickered on. The figure vanished. The terminal returned to its eerie stillness. Jack stood, breathless. His radio crackled. "Jack, you there?" the other guard asked. "Yeah, but something's wrong," he replied, his voice shaky. He checked the security cameras again. Camera 3 showed the entrance, and there, outside the doors, the figure stood, watching. Jack knew it wasn't over. The terminal had secrets, and tonight, it whispered just a few. He wasn't sure he wanted to hear more. Jack sat, hands trembling. He had to finish his shift, but he felt eyes on him. Every creak made him flinch. The clock ticked slowly, each second stretching. Somewhere, out of sight, the figure waited. Jack checked camera 3 again. The figure was gone. But deep down, Jack knew it would be back. He sighed, leaning back in his chair, but kept his eyes on the screens. The night was long, and he could feel the weight of the dark pressing in, a promise that this wasn't the last he'd see of the terminal's shadows.